Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and today I have a book haul for you. Is anybody surprised? No? Me either. I have a pretty cumulative book haul. Some of these are from July, some of these are from August, and some of these are actually from the month of September. So like this is a pretty cumulative one. Some were birthday gifts, some were I wanted to spend my money, and a lot of these are actually from my local used bookstore. So whenever you see me like unhauling books, especially from like my exploding TBRs and things like that, what I do is I take them to my local used bookstore, get some credit, see what they got. A lot of times I like to go in there on Fridays with my kids and see if there's anything that like, you know, we all want to pick out. So there actually is more books than this that I've hauled, but they're all like kids books that my kids currently have. And I really don't feel like digging through their room and finding like the books that I bought them. But I know I bought my daughter like the first volume of the Avatar graphic novel, and she has been so into it lately. Like, it is awesome. She will like sit there and read it to my son, and it's lovely. Raising them right? All right, well, without any further ado, let's jump in to the book haul. First one we picked up is Age of War by Michael J. Sullivan. I know this is the third book in a series that I haven't read, but it was a really nice hardback and it was at the local used bookstore, so I just grabbed it. I do have the first book, have not read it. I do not have the second book, but now I have this one. So like we're getting there with the collection of them, and I do promise to read this series at some point. I couldn't pass up like a really cheap hardback at the used bookstore. Then we have The Rise of Knight and Sword, and this is by Miriam Wade. This was actually sent to me, and it sounds really cool. It says, Avalon, City of Kings, sky towers and airships dominate its skyline. Dinosaurs roam freely through its parklands, and bounty hunters lurk in its shadows. Guinevere has always lived on the outskirts of Avalon, working as an archivist in the Central Library. While corruption runs rampant through the city, her life is fairly mundane and predictable. That is, until she discovers the map to Excalibur and uncovers a plot to usurp the throne. Finding herself on the run from these would-be kingslayers, Guinevere sets out to find the mythical sword, but with no one to trust and nowhere to hide, she must form an uneasy alliance with a pair of notorious bounty hunters. I mean, it sounds interesting, right? It's literally sounds like a gender-swapped King Arthur with dinosaurs? The dinosaurs are kind of throwing me. But yeah, it seems really cool. This was sent to me by like a small press. And I mean, the cover's cool. I like the cover. So. Then we have another one that I picked up from the used bookstore, and that is Servant Mage by Kate Elliott. I've never read a book by Kate Elliott before, and it's blurbed by S.A. Chakravorty, and it's just a little novella. And there was a dragon on the cover. That's literally why I picked it up, was because there was a dragon on the cover. So I wasn't going to say no to that. Then we have another novella from the used bookstore, and that is Spear. I've heard some mixed things about that. People either like really have loved this or really are not loving it, but I'm hoping I fall on the love it side, and it's super short. So like the fact that I got it used, perfect. All right, another of the used bookstore haul, and that is Mad Shit by Robin Hobb. Have I read any Realm of the Elderlings? No. Am I collecting the books every time I find them at my used bookstore? Yes. I have a lot of them. I have like, I think 4 of her books now, 4 or 5 in like varying series, and I need to just like read them because I don't know exactly which ones I'm missing. Like I think this is the 3rd book, maybe? Is Mad Ship the 3rd, or that's not good. Okay, so I think this is the 2nd book, which is cool because I do own the first one. And while I want to read the like Fitz and the Fool books first, these are the ones that I'm most excited for. Now we have a book that was another used bookstore purchase, but is also a little out the comfort zone, and that is The Death of Miss Westerway by Ruth Ware. This is like a thriller. I don't think it's horror. I think it's just like a mystery thriller. But I thought it would be perfect for like fall time and to kind of push myself just a little bit outside of my comfort zone. All right, and this is the last of the used bookstore books, and that is Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. I've been wanting to read this, and then when I saw it at the used bookstore, I knew I had to pick it up because like everyone seems to love this series, and like it's thick. It's thick. So, volume 1 of the Rare Rarea Revelations. I mean, it's thick. I think this is more than one book, isn't it? Like, this is like a bind up of multiple, maybe? Because this is volume 1. Yeah. I think this is like a bind up of like the first 3 books. Then I have an ARC that was sent to me by Penguin Random House, and that is Night Birds by Kate J. Armstrong. This is one that I requested because it sounded really, really cool. It says, in this dazzling new fantasy, women wielding the most powerful magic ever known emerged from the shadows to change their fates. Like, do I need to know more? Not really. Not really. It sounds very up my alley, and like the cover is so cool, and I'm really excited to get to this. I don't remember exactly when this actually comes out, but I think I've got a while. Like, I think it's like January, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm excited to have this ARC. Next, we have Wild is the Witch, which I picked up myself on one of my Friday trips to Barnes & Noble that I take with my kids sometimes. This is another book by Rachel Griffin, and she wrote The Nature of Witches, which I absolutely loved. It's a standalone, and then I believe this is also a standalone in that same world following different characters. But the best thing about Rachel Griffin's books, both of them were like this, is if you get the hardback, boom, she's so pretty. And I love it because Nature of Witches is the same way. It's like absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited. Then we have another book that was sent to me by a small press, and that is Queen of All, and this is by Anya Lee Josephs. I'll read you like the synopsis of this one, and it says, in a kingdom once filled with the magic of the goddess Gia, 14-year-old Jenna has never left her family's tiny, failing farm. With an absent mother and an inattentive father, Jenna's only solace is her cousin, Sissy, a girl renowned throughout the 4 corners of the earth for her indescribable beauty. But when a letter arrives for Sissy from Prince Richard, the man she suspects is responsible for the recent devastation across the lands, the 2 girls find themselves thrust into a world far more extravagant and dangerous than ever before. It sounds really cool, so sounds kind of up my alley. I don't think it's like fantasy in the sense where there's like magic, but it is like that royal intrigue, so I'm excited to check this one out. Then we have one of my super anticipated releases that I picked up, and that was The Daughter of Dr Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And I've actually never yet read any of Silvia Moreno Garcia's other books. I do have 2 of them. I have Mexican Gothic and I have Gods of Jade and Shadow, and I really want to get to them, but for some reason this one is the one that like really calls to me as like, this is going to be a Jessie book. So I'm excited. Then we picked up Bones of Ruin, and this is another one that I was really excited about, but never heard anyone talk about. I am a sucker for books set in and around a circus. And I actually have like this idea that I'm going to do like a reading vlog and then like some recommendation videos about like circus books. But I need to read some more to like really get, you know, more recommendations for you guys and like do a really fun reading vlog. So this one is another one of those like circusy books that I'm really excited about. As she spun around on the tightrope to wave to the other side of the crowd, her feet slipped and she fell. Ira's heart stopped. Her breath snuffed out as the crowd began shouting. She hoped the gawking men and women below would have enough sense to catch her. But that was, apparently, the problem. As her body hit a wave of arms, her head turned too quickly. The last sensation she felt before everything turned dark was her own neck snapping from the sheer force of the fall. Alas, she had died. Again. What? It sounds really cool. And I'm pretty sure she's like a tightrope walker. I read a really cool book, can't remember. Girl of Glass and Air, maybe? I can't remember the name of it, but I read it and it was about a tightrope walker and I absolutely loved it. So I love that. Then, of course, I picked up Amari and the Great Game, the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers. I absolutely loved the first book. So as soon as this came out, I had to buy it. I was at Barnes & Noble with the kids and they had it on like this really cool display table. So I picked it up. What's really cool is like my 9-year-old is starting to read more middle grade. So like she's going to be reading Amari and the Night Brothers. And then I'm going to hold off on reading this so we can read it together once she reads the first book. Then we have a self-published book that was sent to me by the author, and that is Dreaming in Subtitles. And I'll read you the synopsis of this one as well. It says, Lorelei Grayson is dead, or she should be, but she's too stubborn to go. Angry at a life of abandonment, homelessness, and a local familicide that deeply impacted her, her fragile bits of happiness she's found haven't been enough to knit her whole. As her family stands at her bedside waiting for the inevitable, she holds on, refusing to become yet another tragedy, earning her a personal visit from the Angel of Death. Death offers her a deal. Accept the story she was given and move on. Or let life unravel and start again with all her memories to weigh her down. Despite Death's warning, Lorelei's determination is unmoved, and the pronouncement of a single word, deal. She finds herself years into the past, minutes before her father walks out. Saving her parents' marriage, navigating high school, re-meeting her future husband, all of it is quickly overtaken by the need to save the lives of 4 victims of the familicide that only she knows is coming. Lorelei finds new meaning in the word loneliness in this carbon copy of life as she balances the weight of secrets no one would believe. That sounds cool. I'm a sucker for like a time travel-y kind of book. Like, it just sounds really cool. And the author was so sweet, and I'm really excited to read this. Then we have a book that was a gift from my good friend Kate at the Literary Apothecary, and that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I never really had an inclination to read Fangirl or Carry On, but Leanne from Leanne's Library a while back did a video all about like Carry On in the series, and I was like, why have I not read this? Like, I don't know why. She is the only person that made it sound like I need to read this. So I'm going to start with Fangirl and then hopefully read like the Carry On books, because those are the ones I'm like super interested in as well. So, thank you, Kate. And I really hope that I love it as much as Leanne does. All right. Then I got Locust Lane by Stephen Amidon. This just kind of showed up at my house one day. So I'm not really sure what it is. I'm pretty sure it's not fantasy. I think it's like a mystery thriller. It says it's for fans of Mystic River and Little Fires Everywhere. It's a taut and utterly propulsive story about the search for justice and the fault lines of power and influence in a seemingly idealistic town. Can anyone be trusted? So again, out of my comfort zone, but I've been trying to read a little bit more out of my comfort zone. So we'll see. And then the final book that I picked up is The Final Strife by Sarah El Arifi. Joshana has sold me on this. Like, the amount of times I've heard Joshana like talk about this book in her videos recently and on her Instagram, I'm just like, I need it. And then I saw it at Barnes & Noble, and I think it was part of the like 50% off hardback sale, and I was like, it's my sign. This is my sign that Joshana is stalking my brain, and I need to pick up this book because it sounds so good, and she's a chunky chunk. So I'm excited to get to this one. Whew. All right. That was my cumulative, like, end of July, August, September book haul. I've been honestly trying not to, like, buy too many books. Like, a lot of these, as you saw, were from, like, the used bookstore. But because I'm, like, moving into my new office at some point, if it's ever finished, if you know anything about construction, it's just, like, wild how long stuff takes. But yeah, hopefully I'll be moving in there soon. And I didn't want to take too many books like from these shelves and put them on those shelves. I really wanted to like minimize that. So I'm not shopping as much because like normally this would have been like a 1 month haul, but this is like a 2.5, almost 3 month haul. So, you know, I think I did pretty good. Let me know what you think of any of these books. And yeah, Thanks for hanging out. My name's Jessie, and I'll see you next time. Bye.